Hey people, happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech. I'm the host, Nnamdi Osuagwu. It is awesome to be here. Gosh, I love doing this. Okay, we are back. Let's get some housekeeping things in order. Today is October 21st. We will be bringing you the news of the week today around technology and FinTech. We like to say the technology that powers the money. Going over some FinTech news, but I want to alert you guys. We have the next 2 weeks, super exciting. Do not want to miss. On October 28th, that's next week, Friday, we have Hoda Mayer from Stockcard talking about pushing the technology trends, pushing retail investing. Should definitely be a great show you do not want to miss. In 2 weeks, November 4th, we have our 100th episode. That's right, guys, 100. It's amazing that we've been doing it that long, and just the power of consistency started 2 years ago. And to kick off the 100th episode, we're going to have some returning guests. It's going to be a panel discussion on the state of cybersecurity and FinTech. That is another one you do not want to miss. We'll be giving out some prizes and so forth. We'll be advertising both shows today, next week, and the week following. So yeah, that's what's going to go on for the next 2 weeks. Next week, Stockcard CEO, the technology trends pushing retail investing forward. 2 weeks from now, the state of cybersecurity and FinTech, with a panel discussion from some really great past guests coming back on to talk from their different perspectives. We have recruiting, compliance, cloud security, data architecture. This is going to be a really lively discussion. Do not want to miss. Plus, we'll be giving out those prizes. All right, today's episode, we will be talking about the news of the week. As always, feel free to add a comment, whether it's a question, whether you want to add additional insight to help the community, and so forth. You add a comment, it will be posted to the video. So where are our platforms that we're streaming from? We're streaming from Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. We also have a separate feed going from Instagram. So we're doing an Instagram live on a mobile device. They're getting behind the scenes footage. Okay, let's kick it off. Some news of the week. Let's go. All right. First news of the week. Let me just get my stuff together. First one. U.S. Bank Corp gets U.S. regulatory approval for MUFG Union Bank Acquisition. So that's the Mitsubishi Bank Acquisition. U.S. Bank Corp have received approval from U.S. regulators, including the Federal Reserve and the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, to complete its proposed acquisition of MUFG Union Bank from Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group. Let's get into this. The deal requires approval from Japanese regulators. MUFG is a Japanese bank. They expected to close this deal by the end of 2022, which is really around the corner. So, we're almost approaching the end of the year. Hey, Will, Catrice, thanks for joining in on Instagram Live. I have to shout out those guests. The firm stands to gain 1 million customers, around 190,000 business customers from the deal, along with significant loans and deposits. The combination will improve U.S. Bank's deposit position in California from 10th to 5th. So that's huge. They're initially announced as an $8 billion acquisition back in September 2021 in a bid to strengthen its presence in California, Washington, and Oregon. U.S. Bank Chairman, President, and CEO Andy Searcy says his company shares many common values with MUFG Union Bank, and the deal will allow the firm to make investments to serve customers and enhance competition on the West Coast. So by deepening and expanding U.S. Bank's footprint, the transaction will enhance competition and provide customers with greater access to industry-leading technology, products, customer service. U.S. Bank is also committed to further enhancing both organizations' excellent records of serving low-income communities and supporting minority-led institutions. Following the transaction close, U.S. Bank will retain all MUFG Union Bank's frontline branch employees. So let's just go into give background on each Bank, right? So U.S. Bank Corp has nearly 70,000 employees, 559 billion in assets as of June 2021. Its parent company, U.S. Bank National Association. So U.S. Bank is the parent company, owns U.S. Bank Corp. It's Minneapolis-based company. It serves millions of customers. MUFG Union Bank North America, as of June 2021, MUFG Union Bank North America operated 305 branches, consisting primarily of retail banking branches in the West Coast states, along with commercial branches in Texas, Illinois, New York, and Georgia. They provide a spectrum of corporate, commercial, and retail banking and wealth management solutions to meet the needs of their clients. So, quick summary: U.S. Bank will be acquiring MUFG North America. MUFG is a Japanese bank. They just got approved by the regulators over in the U.S. and it's going to improve their West Coast presence. They're going to move from 10th in California to 5th. So that's huge when they combine MUFG's customer base and deposits. All right, what's the next one? Going on. So next article that we saw, Deutsche Bank partners with Fiserv to launch small medium SME payments, small medium enterprise payments and banking solution called Vert. So Germany's Deutsche Bank and FinTech Fiserv have partnered to develop and deploy a comprehensive payment acceptance and banking services solution for small and medium-sized enterprises. Vert is the only German provider that combines the two payment and banking services, meeting market demand for an integrated offering, said by Deutsche Bank. Let's talk about some features of this new payments solution, Vert. Some features include payment on the next day, banking day, faster access to money, future-facing Android operating system solution, acceptance of the most common payment methods, meaning merchants can sell more, a single merchant portal with complete overview of all transactions, invoices, and reports, exceptional customer service and telephone advice for business guidance, secure payments and data via partnership with Deutsche Bank, no hidden fees or surprises. Vert's managing director of sales and product, Thorsten Wolfel, says that combining strengths of Germany's largest bank and the world's largest merchant acquirer, we can provide our Vert members with a secure, fast, and technologically advanced payment acceptance solution. So that's interesting right there. Let's look at who else joined. Okay. Let's move on to our next article. So Belize Bank extends core banking partnership with Finastra. We just talked about Finastra. They did another deal last week. We talked about them with an Indian bank. So one of the largest banks operating in Belize Bank, provides retail, corporate, and commercial banking services. It is owned by the Caribbean Investment Holdings Limited, CIHL, which recently completed the acquisition of the local operations of Scotiabank in March. Scotiabank is a Canadian bank. Belize Bank has extended its partnership with Finastra and has migrated the operations of Scotia Belize onto Finastra's Fusion Essence core banking platform. So Belize Bank first started working with Finastra in 2014 and migrated its legacy core to Fusion Essence in 2017. Our transformation required a platform that would allow us to expand our presence both locally in Belize as well as in a wider region, says Jose Cardona, CIO of Belize Bank. Fusion Essence provides that platform and enables us to launch products rapidly into the market. The migration of Scotia's accounts and data onto Finastra's platform was completed in a 12-month timeframe, which is, that's pretty quick to do. So all of those things, that's total migration work, technology centric, along with partnerships with the business and so forth. So it's always interesting to see those types of projects within bank. Like I said, it's the technology behind the money. Let's go here. Take a break and just shout out our sponsors for today's show. Today's show is sponsored by Strategic Generation, providing SOC 2 and cybersecurity services to the fintech industry. All right, let's get back to the news. See some other new joiners coming in. Okay, let's move on. Next article. So very Interpol reportedly creates a dedicated unit to fight crypto crimes. So law enforcement agencies are very often not properly trained or equipped to track crypto crimes. So Interpol Secretary Jürgen Stock said the law enforcement. So Interpol is the world's largest global police organization. It's basically set up a special team in Singapore to help governments fight crimes involving virtual assets. As we know, we talked about, there have been tons of such crimes. So they made the announcement at a press conference ahead of its 90th General Assembly in Delhi, which is to be attended by high-profile police officials from its 195 members from October 18th to the 21st. So that's this week, actually. It's late in breaking. So according to Interpol Secretary General Jürgen Stock, the absence of a legal framework for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether poses major challenges to law enforcement agencies, because very often agencies are not properly trained or properly equipped to address cryptocurrency crimes. In the beginning, Stock reported. Stock also pointed out that cryptocurrency and crime will be the main focus of the agenda at Interpol's General Assembly in India. I mean, let's take a step back and talk about that, right? So you have to have some level of technology expertise in order to investigate these crimes. So I think what they're doing makes sense, right? Like if you don't have a technical background and you're expected to investigate crimes on the blockchain and basically tracing it and tracking it and trying to figure it all out, it's not going to work. This makes sense, and frankly, probably should have been done sooner. So having them as a central force, and they can also lend expertise to the 195 members, can probably help them solve some things faster and just get certain frameworks in place and so forth. So I think it's a step in a good direction. Outside looking in, I mean, it's all gearing up to just make, I think, crypto more mainstay. Like right now, there is usage, like people talk about a lot of, but the majority of the world's not using it. So although it seems like it's been going on for a while, but it's relatively like new, has such a long runway. So things like this, I think, is very, very helpful. They say it's not the first initiative. They tried this in 2015. They've been working to get more expertise to learn about cryptocurrency transactions and identify criminal activities on the dark net as early as 2015. So they've been on it, but I think now they're making it more official with this particular law branch. Next. All right, so this is hopping into the cybersecurity realm now. So Microsoft on data breach, BlueBleed exposes 2.4 terabytes of customer data. So when anybody gets paranoid, let's kind of jump into exactly what happened. So there's a security firm out in Turkey called Soak Radar. So exactly what they do as part of their technology, they scan the internet. And like most they're on the, I would say they have like white hat, black hat hackers. That's the term they use. So, their technology basically scan the internet. When they scan the internet, what are they looking for? Public facing endpoint. So what's a public facing endpoint? Let's just talk basic, right? Anything that you have access to. So how you go into a website right now, you're going on LinkedIn, it's public facing. That's what we mean by public facing. So things that everybody has access to and can get to, through IP, through a DNS or whatever. So it's public facing. So these, or it might not even be a website. It can be, in this case, it can be storage buckets in the cloud that are publicly facing. So even you'll see sometimes you go to a website and you download a PDF, but they send you a link to an AWS S3 bucket or maybe an Azure bucket. That means it's just being hosted somewhere, but it's still publicly facing. That's why you have access to it. If it was private, you don't have access to it just going and typing a URL or so forth. So what the practice is, right? You know, it's basically you go out, not, if you're whether you're looking at it to help or to actually gain some sort of insight to perform some sort of an attack. And you basically scan the internet. It takes a while, and you scan every single public facing device, bucket, website that you can get. And when you scan it, you start doing some vulnerability scans. So, you can have a public facing website that has, or public facing whatever, right? Whether it's a bucket website, it can have vulnerabilities. Now, having vulnerabilities is one thing, and obviously we should look for different ways to patch up or fix or close certain vulnerabilities. But once you find it, now you have to figure out how to exploit that vulnerability. So, some are easier than others. An open vulnerability can just be, you just might not have certain controls and practices in place, and it could be misconfigured. It could be, and they could get this data that you stored in your cloud somewhere. So I just wanted to kind of give some background before we jump into the actual news article. Hey, cuz, got someone joining from Instagram. I give a shout out to my man. All right, so now let's get into what exactly happened with that background that you have been equipped with. Let's get into the article. So Turkey-based SOC Radar, I think that's what it's pronounced, SOC Radar, found an open Azure bucket on the 24th of September after apparently copying the data, reported its findings to Microsoft the same day. Microsoft shut down the public access within hours and notified customers of subsequent weeks that they may have been their data may have been downloaded. So updated today, just recently, like today, right? This is late breaking. SOC Radar says BlueBleed. That's what they named it, right? It's basically the term BlueBleed was coined by Ken Walleri, I think, Ulari, a threat and vulnerability researcher at SOC Radar, referring to the sensitive information leaked by 6 misconfigured buckets collectively. The first part of the collection is due to a misconfigured Azure blob storage. It can be considered one of the most significant B2B leaks, affecting more than 65,000 entities in 111 countries with sensitive data inside a single bucket. So here's the deal, right? That those numbers that's being reported, Microsoft has disputed the numbers, saying that some of the numbers they're reporting are duplicates and so forth. But they declined to give SOC Radar an alternative figure. So it's one thing to say that your numbers are not accurate, but they didn't provide a follow-up to say that what the exact numbers are. And like I said, it's still early. They could do it next week, or who knows, right? But according to SOC Radar, they said it's sensitive data belonging to 150,000 companies in 123 countries. So that's the latest, because it's different. This is coming out. So they had some numbers reported, and today they did an update. That's what they have. Microsoft says it's not accurate, but they haven't disputed it. Another thing that SOC Radar also produced a search tool and made the search tool public to allow customers to see if the data was exposed. Microsoft, they put pressure on them and they pulled down the search tool because essentially they had no way of, it would have left it open that anyone can just use that search tool and pull data. So it sets up some privacy issues and so forth. So it's not like they validated, okay, are you actually a customer? And then can I use this tool to only search on my records? It was more open to everyone. So Microsoft put pressure on them. And as of today, from my understanding, they have taken that down. Let's go into some other stuff. Quote from Microsoft. We take this issue very seriously and are disappointed that SOC Radar exaggerated the numbers involved in this issue, even after we highlighted the error. They said that much of the data was duplicated. More importantly, we are disappointed that SOC Radar has chosen to release publicly a search tool that is not in the best interest of ensuring customer privacy and security and potentially exposing them to unnecessary risk. We recommend that any security company that wants to provide a similar tool follow basic measures to enable data protection and privacy. So that's one of the Microsoft blog, detailing steps such as verifying users and minimizing data to be disclosed. So how does it work, right? Like I said before, I gave us some background. So SOC Radar Cloud Security Module. By the way, I must say, if you're advertising a security product, I mean, this is just so much free press that they just got for their particular company due to this finding. I mean, especially with so many products out there, these people just, in my opinion, made a name for themselves. All right, so SOC Radar Cloud Security Module constantly scans applications, buckets, storage, apps to discover possible misconfigurations and security vulnerabilities in all environments open to the internet, including all cloud environments. In case of detecting a publicly available bucket that contains confidential or sensitive data, SOC Radar sends alarms to the owner to take the necessary precautions. SOC Radar in-house developed algorithms and AI ML enable the platform to detect sensitive data after analyzing the scanned resources. And they say for SOC Radar customers, an alert is automatically created and sent for the incident management process to launch. Some of the exposed, let's see, we're going to go here. Yeah, this number has been increased to 150,000 and more data, by the way, that I'm putting on the screen right now. So some of the data included SOW documents, a lot of B2B stuff, excuse me, invoices, product orders, product offers, project details, signed customer documents, proof of concept works, customer emails, customer product list and customer stocks, internal comments for customers, sales strategies, customer asset documents, and partner ecosystem details. And this is from SANS 2022 top new attacks. Misconfigured servers are the top reason for data leaks. So it's very important you check your configurations. You have certain tools. Cloud security tools can alert you. They can say if you're in compliance and controls. Like it's tools that I've used in which essentially what would happen is you have all these different compliant frameworks that attaches to it, and it can look at critical controls in the cloud and see if your environment's adhering to them. So that's obviously one way just to, you want to, with security, you want to be proactive and not reactive. So you want to put these things in place. I mean, that's even if you look at that whole movement I love called DevSecOps, right? In which you're looking at your software development life cycle and you're saying, okay, what security gates can we put in early? I mean, cloud is one of them, right? Like, can we have some, so when we do these, whether you're doing infrastructure as code, meaning, or how are you deploying your cloud environment? If you're just, it's something called infrastructure as code, in which you basically code out how you're going to deploy your infrastructure. Can we even, why wait until we deploy the test for security? Why not run scans on the actual code that you're going to be deploying in the infrastructure as code? So, you know, the whole goal is to start doing things earlier on than later on. There was this chart from a while ago. Storage still exists, and it just shows you, a lot of vendors used to use this, it just shows you the increase in cost and security as you wait later on in the process to start testing, whether you're in prod. But if you do it earlier on, I mean, earliest thing you could do actually is in planning, you start doing a threat modeling exercise. But all right, let's get back to it. So that's one of the top things, right? Misconfigured servers. And yeah, here is some recommendations in terms of What companies should do to monitor such cybersecurity risk with automated tools. Map out your attack surface to easily manage and control external facing endpoints. Apply your shared responsibilities. What's shared responsibility, right? They always say every public cloud providers is certain things that from if you're an AWS, Azure, GCP, it's certain security controls that they provide that's innate to the environment. There's certain things that you'd apply. You have to be usually it's a term, it escapes me, but essentially your data you're always responsible for. Now the actual hardware, because when they say cloud, that doesn't mean it's still hardware somewhere. It's just not accessible to you. So an example of which you're not gonna know. Well, you're not going to go to their facilities and take their servers. They're responsible for that. Like no one's going to do, like how someone can just run in a person's house, confiscate their servers and leave. That's just like a physical, I'm taking your physical data. But that's the idea of shared security, meaning that it's certain things that the cloud provider will provide that you don't have to worry about, but it's certain things that you have to take care of, like misconfiguring your servers. That's not their responsibility. Bring identity and access solutions to all your environments. We're talking about IAM, Identity and Access Management. A shared access signature token should be used for providing control and limited time access to blob containers. Makes sense. Encrypt your data at rest. Yeah, I mean, they always say that, right? Data at rest and data in transit should be encrypted. What does that mean? So if your data is just sitting somewhere, you have to encrypt it. So if someone get access to it, they're not gonna. It has to go through a decryption process for them to understand what that data is. It's relatively useless. Enforce accepted cloud security policies. Fortify your endpoints to prevent breaches. Monitor your attack surface to detect any external assets open to the public. So in boxing, what do they say, right? It's the punch that you do not see that knocks you out. Same concept, right? You have the biggest problem I see sometimes is you have assets, but you do not have the full scope of your assets. You have some server from back in the days that someone else spun up, but you're no longer monitoring that. So you don't even know that that's part of your asset list. And so if you don't know that a particular server or a particular appliance is part of your asset list, what does that mean? That means you're not going to patch it. You're not going to do vulnerability scans on it. You're not going to do anything to it. And it's just sitting there. So that is something to be very mindful of. You can have the most secure environment on the assets that you know about, but the ones you don't know about, that's the punch that knocks you out. All right. Contain sensitive data about your company and your customers. I mean, look, you're going to have, which may contain sensitive data. Yeah. So that makes sense. Look, all of these different breaches and different things, if it didn't happen to you, they should be learning lessons, right? So we should take what we can get out of it and say, okay, how do we now make our own environments hardened? That's a term that we use, harden your environment. So that's why it's good to look at these things, it's good to research, it's good to say, okay, what are the latest threats that came out? Who got breached? How did they get breached? Okay, what are we doing on our side to prevent against that? It's also good to look for breaches in your own vertical, right? Because if you're a fintech and you specifically are a fintech in the payment space, and then you notice that there's this malware or certain breaches happening to your contemporaries, then chances are you need to say, okay, are we susceptible to that, or how are we protecting ourselves against that? I mean, that's similar analogy, right? If I live on a block of 5 homes, and 3 of those 5 homes, not mine, got broken into, I'm going to want to know, okay, how did that happen? Did it happen during the day, the evening? Did they have an alarm system? Like, how did it happen? How did the home invasion or whatever happen? Because I'm going to want to protect myself against a similar action. And that's a lot of these things are security. Obviously, some technical stuff you have to know and you have to research and figure it out. But it was one of my colleagues. I always joke with them. I say, let's just use common sense, right? Like let's just common sense security. I mean, back with some technology insight, but a lot of it is just, just straightforward. I mean, you have to also do your research and know certain things, but I think a lot of it just on trying to protect your environment. I mean, we have to just use a bit of common sense and a straightforward approach. Um, you know, so and also I don't know they didn't mention in the article, but leverage compliance frameworks, right? Like it's full of, okay, these are the things that work for us. I mean, it's just full of stuff that I think I talked about this before on past episodes when it's breaches, right? You have a framework in place, whether it's NIST, whether it's SOC 2, whether it's CIS benchmarks. It's a bunch of controls that are there. And now if you would it gives you a full breadth and scope of things that you have to do. Now, it can get overly expensive to look at everything. So you have to take a risk-based approach and say, okay, what are the riskiest things for us, right? 'Cause everybody has their own unique situation. And then you can start tackling it from a risk-based approach. That's how you prioritize, and then you get around to it. All right. That is it for today's episode. Don't have any questions that I see. But as always, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank for some people. They don't send messages on the show, but they may message me behind the scenes. And look, I appreciate all of that. I appreciate the viewing. I appreciate for riding with me for like 2 years. It's been like over 2 years doing this. It's 100th episode is coming up in 2 weeks. Major. You definitely want to tune into that episode, November 4th. Really, really great panel of experts. I'm really looking forward to the conversation, learning from them, and talking to them about the state of cybersecurity from their own different perspectives. So it's not just technologists. We have people from the business side, from the HR side. So it's just going to be a really, really good conversation. Next, another episode I'm excited for next week. The current trends that are pushing retail investing forward. Going to start sending out the material and uploading some marketing material for that, so you guys can take a look at it with Hodet Mir from Stock Card. So that should be a very interesting show. I have a ton of questions for her, especially with today's market. And yeah, that is it. That's what's going on. Listen, have a spectacular weekend and enjoy the rest of your week until I see you guys again. Take care. And once again, thanks for tuning in. That concludes our show for today. Cheers.